Picture the pastures of Ireland. There, cattle outnumber people and animals account for over 37% of CO2 emissions, something that needs to come down if the country wants to meet its climate goals. But many farmers say that meeting targets could drive them into bankruptcy, with the head of the Irish Creamery Milk Suppliers Association, Pat McCormack, warning that farmers could have to cull their livestock. Well, Pat McCormack joins me now from County Tipperary. Pat, thank you so much for coming on, for taking the time. Now, until recently, the government had been encouraging farmers, in fact, to expand, to exploit the end of EU milk quotas. And of course, many farmers then decided to invest. Can they now scale back to meet these other targets, climate targets?
Not that simple, because, as you say, many farmers invested and have huge financial commitments. They either bought land or they put significant infrastructure in place on farm, and that debt needs an output requirement. And at this point in time, that doesn't go hand in hand with emissions. So there's a huge challenge out there for our industry, and how we arrive at the reductions that are required without cutting the herd. There's a lot of politicians out there, talking about the implementation of a carbon target, and that there'll be no compulsory cull, but we don't see that happening. We see them culling through the back door, be it through the nitrates regulation. So there is a huge challenge for our industry, in particular for those that are financially exposed. And there are a lot of the productive farmers that are significantly exposed from a financial perspective.
So climate will have to be addressed, nevertheless. Ireland overall faces a 60% cut in emissions. When it comes to farming, it is lower at a rate of 25%. So what, in your view, would be a way of making this doable whilst avoiding the worst case scenario?
Look, we need to embrace all the sciences that are out there. We need to embrace the evolution of science. I mean, ruminant additive is a significant contributor, and it can play a significant part in animals that are housed. But equally, it can play a significant part in animals that are fed at pasture through the milking systems that are in Ireland. Also, I suppose, how we store our slurry, and how it's spread. And in fairness to the farmers of Ireland, they have embraced the technologies that are out there. Low emission slurry spreading, be it through the dribble bar or the trail and shoe, is pretty much a widespread adoption at this point in time. Protected urea is equally used, but we certainly accept that more needs to be done. But it's a last resort where you would reduce numbers and reduce output for farm families that are significantly borrowed in one of the most efficient places in Europe, and indeed in the world, for food production. So, as a generation of people, we have an obligation to hand on our climate in the best possible way to the next generation, and prohibiting or reducing the production of food in Ireland certainly isn't going to solve that problem for a grown population.